The highest grossing animated film of all time is now from China. But what does this mean for diplomacy? I got some hot takes, guys. Welcome everybody to the Hot Pot Boys. Oh man, we got to talk about Ne Zha 2. It has broken box office records across the globe, not just from the Chinese market, but it is now reaching almost $2 billion in the box office. It is now being shown in theaters in America. There's a theater down the block, Regal Essex. I might go there this weekend. Definitely by the end of this week, I'm going to watch it. But in this video, I'm here to talk about why this became such a big hit. What were the mechanisms or the things about this movie or how it was being promoted that allowed it to be such a massive, massive hit? And also, what are the implications of that? Because obviously, this is just another thing to put on the list of Chinese soft power recently, whether it was AI stuff, it's the gadgets, it's the robots, it's the food, it's now the movies. So we got to talk about it. Please hit that like button. Check out other episodes of the Hot Pot Boys if you're into it. I mean, the numbers speak for itself. Popcorn meter, it's 99%. Obviously, there's raving reviews all over the internet, on Reddit, not just from Asian people and definitely not just from Chinese people. So a lot of people love this movie. Let's talk about why it's such a massive hit as far as like the financial success of it. And also, how does that actually even beget more financial success as it has a halo effect? Because generally people who believe something, they believe more in it when it's already financially successful, right? So anyways, number one, okay, the number one reason why this is such a big hit is the production and the graphics and the fight scenes are incredible. I mean, there's a lot of other reasons, but basically you can go across the internet and comb through people's comments and they're pretty much like, hey, Ne Zha 2, it's doing a bunch of stuff that these Pixar movies are not doing. Obviously, the color, the fight scenes, the massiveness of the fight scene, all the different animals, it's probably somewhat remnants of like Kung Fu Panda or Shrek times like 5. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. About a lot of American movies that I notice after consuming American movies for my entire life is that a lot of the animated movies, they kind of take place a little bit more in sort of reality. Even Inside Out, it's taking place in reality, or at least in the body. Toy Story, so it's kind of depicting real life, but in an animated sense. But this, a lot of the Chinese films, they are basically mythological. And so basically you can take it to so many different levels with all the different creatures, mythology, the colors, the powers, it almost looks more like a Shang-Chi with the 10 rings. But there's a historical context for that, because if you look at Kung Fu movies over the decades, they were the first ones to put actors on wires and then send them through the air like they're doing, bicycle kicks in the air. And that was something that obviously America is not doing. America's more based in like Clint Eastwood or like John Wick, where it's a little bit more in reality versus, flying through the air and stuff like that. So I think also another thing about the production here that people point out is that they use professional top tier voice actors. Like they don't just try to grab celebrities to do the voice acting, because voice acting, surprise, surprise, is a little different than regular acting. And the Hollywood actors that are good with the face may not always be good with the voice. So voice acting is a little bit different. So maybe Ne Zha is able to save money on not signing the biggest Chinese stars to voice it, and then they just get really good voice actors. So anyways, also a lot of people point out that there's a lot of fart and piss jokes along with a lot of like serious tones. So they're just saying like it's definitely more fart jokes than, American movies would have. Point number 2, national pride. Obviously, this is a sense of national pride. So once Ne Zha 1 was already a pretty big success, but Ne Zha 2 is considered a better movie and is a bigger success. So shout out, the sequel did better this time. But yeah, I mean, just the success of this film is going to spark a lot of national pride. And I think it's funny when people think about like Chinese national pride, they generally think it's like for the CCP or something. Like that's what they think when they think, oh, Chinese people are being nationalistic. But we're talking about soft power here and media and entertainment, which is a lot easier and should not be as politicized, you know what I mean? Because China has always had hard power, but now with the soft power combined, it becomes smart power. That's the term that I learned. But I do want to point out that this Reuters article, that they were talking about how the Chinese internet is very big, but across certain parts of the Chinese internet, there's kind of like a backlash to not watching the new Captain America movie, Brave New World, you know, with Anthony Mackie. And it's like, they're like, no, Captain America, when we could watch Ne Zha 2 in China, feel better about our domestic product, or do we got to watch this very American movie that we're kind of tired of these themes about like, oh, America's so great, the Captain America's so great. They're like, maybe Ne Zha 2 is better, you know? Maybe Ne Zha is our Captain China, you know? Point number 3, you know, it supports there's a lot of support from domestic enterprises. This is something that I mean is that I heard a lot of other companies are also promoting Ne Zha 2. Like companies are getting in on it, or maybe there's possibly some rich people who did theater buyouts. This is something that has happened in America. Crazy Rich Asians, for example, did benefit from early theater buyouts where basically somebody with money is like, yo, I'm going to support this movie. I'm going to buy out this entire theater. So that's going to count to the box office. And I will invite my friends, but whether or not every single seat is filled up, it's going to boost the numbers. And once the numbers are boosted, then more people will watch it because it'll get more talked about because they'll be like, oh my gosh, look at the numbers. So whether or not there's actually butts in the seat doesn't actually always matter. And is that fudging the numbers? You could say so. I mean, movies do that all the time, to be honest, you know, to fill the seats, whether or not they're actually humans watching. Maybe they're dogs. I don't know. Yeah. So point number 4, the resonance with traditional mythology. Now, Ne Zha is a traditional Chinese mythology. I'm not super familiar with it, but it has to do with like the Chinese demon pill and stuff like that, which, you know, I don't know if it's related to the Chinese zombies that go like this, you know, that hop. But I got to look more into it because I'm not going to lie, me being an ABC, American-born Chinese, I'm not really into Chinese mythology movies. A lot of them. Some of them I am, but not like I'm not watching wuxia pian, like these Chinese dramas with the wigs. Like I'll pop up the pictures here. Like Hero is cool. Obviously I watch some of those epics of the, you know, the warring states and ancient China and stuff like that. I think that is pretty cool, but I don't love how like, I didn't always love how every single like Chinese movie had to take place like 2,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Now, obviously China has rich history. And so not everybody, you know, not every culture or society has a history that illustrious, right? Where you can make all this content about it and it's so developed and you know, there was so many advanced systems back then. But I think it's cool that when I look at the trailer of Ne Zha 2, I'm like, yo, I could watch this movie. Like it looks fun. Like it just at a base, I'm an adult and it looks fun, you know? Yeah, color wise, I think, you know, there's themes kind of like, you know, like I said earlier, Shang-Chi. Shout out to Simu, by the way. I just saw Simu in New York. He's promoting his new movie. Point number 5, the shifts towards domestic productions. And this is just kind of like China saying like, and again, this is a big flex for China where they're like, hey, America, like we have a good AI companies now. We have good EV, electrical vehicle companies now. We have good drone services now. We have good phones now. And then we also have our own movies. So maybe if we keep making good movies like Ne Zha 2, we don't have to need to release so many American movies in China. And so then we don't need to always keep buying into this image that America is so great. Again, guys, soft power for major countries is so important, and America has had soft power for so long, and it's been so good. Everybody's loved us across the world, or at least thought we were cool, no matter what the American government was involved in, right? People thought Americans were cool. And yeah, I mean, you know, I think this movie is just one step into soft power for Chinese people. And again, I'm not talking about the Chinese government. It's separate. But anyways, let's talk about the implications of it being such a big hit. We kind of talked about the mechanisms of how it became such a big hit. You let me know in the comments down below if I missed any reasons, but let's talk about the implications. So number 1, what is Disney and Pixar thinking right now? Like, are they like, oh crap, like look at these numbers, whoa, look at these colors. Like, do we got to put out our fantastic like fantasy, thriller, action, comedy Pixar movie, you know, like is Despicable Me still cutting it, guys? Is Inside Out 2 still cutting it, guys? And what I did think was funny was like some people in the comments were like, oh, like Ne Zha 2, I love, this is just giving us what Disney's not, because like Disney's trying to be too preachy and like trying to teach us so much. And, you know, Ne Zha 2, I wouldn't say it's a shallow storyline, but it is more about like your typical defiance hero, family dynamics, which are pretty common. But I do think it's funny how Ne Zha 2, Ne Zha in the film is a boy, but it's voiced by a woman, a voice actor woman. So I wonder in America in 2025, if this was an American movie, if there would be a slight backlash against that, being like, why is a woman voicing a boy? You know, even though that has happened in the past, but I just feel like recently it hasn't been. They'd probably get like a young boy to do it, I guess. Number 2, could it make young people or people in general more interested in learning Mandarin? This is just another soft power hit, just like a lot of people going to Red Note, aka Xiaohongshu from TikTok. Is it going to make people actually want to learn Mandarin? Ne Zha. Like, even just looking at Ne Zha, you would obviously think it's more like Ni Zha, or something like that. But it's Ne Zha. That's kind of a harder syllable to say for people who only speak English, I guess I would say. But maybe Ne Zha becomes another nickname on the playground, like maybe in a not bad way, kind of like Ni Hao Kai Lan was, kind of became. So point number 3, I have a thought number 3 is like, could it make Disney and Pixar kind of like tweak their films to try to attract the Chinese market, since the Chinese market's so big? I feel like usually when companies do that, it doesn't always play out that well. So I'd probably take it easy if I was Disney or Pixar, but it's possible. They're having these conversations in the boardroom. I will tell you this. They're sitting in a boardroom being like, hey guys, we got to talk about this Ne Zha 2 movie, and it is such a big hit. What can we learn from this? Is there anything we could take away? Could we tie it into the next Lion King, maybe? Maybe we have Chinese mythology with the Lion King. There's lions in China, right? They do the lion dance. Maybe we do the... my last thought is just like, I guess as Chinese culture and Chinese pop culture become more and more popular, especially amongst the younger generation, as in like under 25, I do think it's going to make it a lot harder for consumers and the average citizen to simultaneously view China in such a negative, adversarial way. Of course, China and America are competing. Of course, they are definitely in some type of fight. I believe it's been a Cold War for decades, to be honest. I think it's been going and it's still going to go, but I don't think it's going to pop off to anything crazy. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of people who, when they hear the word China, they're like, spyware or spies, or like, what are they trying to do to us? Steal our IP. But yeah, it's entertainment like this that kind of blurs the lines. And again, America has had soft power for so long, and everybody's loved American culture. Osama bin Laden liked American culture. Kim Jong-un loves American culture. So some of America's biggest enemies still actually like the culture. It's kind of interesting. Not saying that China is viewed on the equivalent of North Korea and, Al-Qaeda or whatever, but obviously, some people view China pretty negatively. So I think this movie helps, especially it's for the younger audience, and the younger kids are a little bit less like, they're a little bit more open to Chinese culture now. They grew up with it longer. But yeah, anyways, I'm watching Ne Zha 2. Who's watching it? Who's watching it? It is in theaters in America right now. This is not an ad for it, but I am going to go watch it. The trailer looks amazing. Reading about it, it's got me hyped. So yeah, I don't go out to the theater and watch every animated film, okay? But yeah, obviously me hearing that this movie made $2 billion also makes me want to go see it. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below, are you going to go watch Ne Zha 2? Yeah, who am I going to watch it with? Until next time, we out. Peace.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。 用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。